It's human nature we want to know our fortune. It guides us into our future. What should we jump into as soon as possible? What should we avoid at all costs? Tarot cards traditionally have provided entertainment and guidance for people all over the world. Whether it's superstition or a calculated formula, depends on your perspective, really. But what if the cards themselves did more than just guide you? What if the cards themselves turned out to be more than just a piece of paper? Grab a blanket, turn off your lights, and let's listen to 3 tarot card reading horror stories. Bad tarot card experience. As far as I can remember, around 3 or 4, I've had experiences with the supernatural. My dad isn't a strong believer, but my mother and her father are very religious and are constantly warning my siblings and me about the spirit side. Even though my father isn't really a believer, my siblings and I grew up as strong Anglicans. Seeing as this is my first story, I will give you a quick look into my background before I begin with my account. When I was around 6 years old, I started to see people out of my vision. It started out with every time I walked past an open room, and has since died down, for a lack of a better word, since we moved. However, whenever this happens and I look back to see if anything is there, I will always see nothing. I also see what I've come to think are shadow people all the time, one in particular who stands at my bedroom door and watches me every night since I was a toddler. All the stuff I've experienced comes with a very strong feelings, which I never doubt and have never led me astray, and vivid dreams that started after my aunt died. I've had much more experiences with my dreams than anything. Back to my experience now. It was about 4 summers ago, when I was living with my parents and siblings. My sister, cousin, and I went shopping at a thrift store, and I came across tarot cards. I had always stayed away from them because my mother was very against it, and the things creeped me out. I wasn't too sure what to do about it, but I decided to just try it out. So when we got home, my sister, cousin, and I all went down to our basement to try out these cards. The instructions weren't in the box, so we had to Google them, but it was pretty harmless at first. It went my sister, cousin, and then me. Seeing as my sister was the best at interpreting them, she read ours. We did a couple rounds like this until we decided to try a different layout. Everything went fine with my sister and cousin's read. However, when it reached me, things got weird. As soon as I split the deck, I got a really dark feeling from the right pile. Feeling sort of compelled, I chose that one. The cards were normal, until my sister flipped over the death card. As soon as the card was turned over, the room got really cold, and there was a very evil, very angry feeling, and the room was filled with a putrid stench. I probably should have mentioned 2 things. I do know that the death card does not typically mean death, and usually just represents change. And number 2, we had gotten the death card before. We all knew that something was there with us, and I felt like there was a very heavy weight in my chest. Also, usually I have a feeling of light surrounding me all the time, and it was like something had severed it, and I started to bawl at the empty feeling. We looked around the room and I asked everyone where they felt this darkness, and my sister and I said, "Behind our cousin," which our cousin said, "Behind me." Thoroughly freaked out of our minds, we said a prayer to God and put the cards away. Still crying, my sister said she'd get rid of the cards, and I ran upstairs to look up the verses from the Bible to see what it says on demons. I did some research since then, and many different websites say that tarot cards can act like a portal, much like a Ouija board can. The reasons I brought this up is because ever since we used those cards, my parents' basement feels dark, depressing, and evil, and every now and again it smells like death. Whenever I go visit my parents, I refuse to go into the basement, as it always feels like something is watching me. I know that I should have listened to my grandfather and mother's warnings, but it seemed pretty harmless at the time. I have never nor ever will touch those cards again. I don't know what was and very likely still is in that basement. I'm open to all advice, and I've been told I'm an empath, so that might be a factor in it. This isn't my worst experience, but I'd like to know what could be bunking in my parents' house, and if there's any way for me to help. Thank you for your time, and if you'd like to hear more of my encounters, I will gladly write more. What happened with my tarot cards? Summer 1986, and my soon-to-be wife, now ex-wife, wanted to get me a special gift. What she bought me was a deck of tarot cards. This is the only deck I've ever owned, and I did not buy it myself. Something strange happened with this deck, and I've never found out exactly what. Samantha wanted to get me a Join the Navy gift. I had recently enlisted and was in the delayed entry program. She went to an occult shop called Ye Old Mystique Shop and purchased a tarot deck called The Stairs of Gold by Taviglon. The shop owner asked her as she checked out what they were for, and Samantha told her, a gift for my fiancé. The shop owner then asked her if she could bless the deck before she left the store. Samantha thought this was a cool idea and soon left with a blessed deck of tarot cards. She gave them to me, and I went through the complete deck to look at all of the cards. This deck is one of the most beautiful I've ever seen. Great artwork, and the symbols on the cards, they are just wonderful to look at. I began using them. Everything seemed fine, and I really liked this deck. A friend asked me for a reading. As I waited for them to come by my house, I was casting the cards, just shuffling them, then laying them out, picking up those cards and laying them out another 10 cards. Something caught my eye. I had just picked up a casting that had the Ace of Coins in the 7th position. My next layout had the Ace of Coins in it, in the 5th position. For reference, I used the Celtic Cross pattern. This card being in another casting was really odd, as I was just picking up the casts and setting them to the side. So I picked up my last cast, and sure enough, there was the Ace of Coins again. Now, sitting beside another Ace of Coins, my deck, which had the normal amount of cards, now had 2 Ace of Coins. I didn't know what to think. First, I thought it must have had to do with the meaning of the card. Ace of Coins means satisfaction, pure contentment, happiness, good sentiments, but not much help. Long story short, the next 2 times I go to do readings for people, as I do my warm-up casting, a similar thing happened. The next card to double itself was the 2 of Coins, which means embarrassment, moment of status or perplexity, arising of difficult situations. The next card, the 3 of Coins, meaning fame, great artistic ability, perfection that brings fame and dignity, all repeated. So by the end of the summer, I had a tarot deck that has extra cards and I have no idea where they came from. I keep my cards in a silk-lined, locked box, and yet I have these extra cards. I consulted 2 psychics, a numerologist, and even did a reading for myself. I never figured out why this happened. I left for the Navy on November 20th, 1986, boot camp, school in Florida, and reported my first ship in Charleston. I returned to Florida in May 1988, and when I unpacked, the box with my cards in it was not there. I know I packed it, but it was gone. I still use the same tarot deck, one I have bought for myself, and even after all these years, I still do not understand what was happening with that deck. But I'd love to find out. Respectfully. I started to read tarot cards with my friend. I'm 15 years old, and during this past year, I've been having many psychic experiences and looking for some sort of encouragement. It started mostly after I started to read tarot cards with my friend and her mother, who've been doing this for years. I've always had feelings and such, but after I opened myself up to read tarot cards, I've been having strange experiences. I know I have a lot of deja vu, and at first, I felt presences around, and not good ones at that. For a while, they gave me nightmares that woke me up in the middle of the night. After a while, the plot of my dreams started to come true. I had a dream that my mom's friend was crying and angry, and told me to bury stones. The following week, my mom found a bottle of alcohol in my closet that the woman had bought me and told me to hide it, but I didn't hide it as well as I had thought. A few weeks later, I had a dream of a blonde woman with a cat who was trying to kill me, and all these faceless people in my dream. I knew my best friend was there in the dream, but then she disappeared. The blonde woman came into the basement door and said bad things happen in threes. A few weeks after that dream, my friend that had disappeared in the dream was supposed to meet me in the bathroom at school. When she didn't come, I found her in the hallway and she was molested in the staircase, and when we went to the guidance room to report it, the blonde woman from my dream turned out to be her guidance counselor, which was weird because I had never seen her in my life. Things kept on getting weirder. One night, while staying at my friend's house, I woke up and saw an apparition in the corner of a young woman with black hair wearing party clothes and appeared to be drunk. She was holding black high heels in her hand and was laughing, but I couldn't hear her. She turned to me and placed her finger over her mouth and said, "Shh," before she disappeared. I know I was awake for that, and when I talked to my friend's mom about it, she said that that's her mother. Her mother passed away a few years ago, but when she was younger, she had black hair and was a party girl. I didn't know that, and yet it still doesn't end there. I always just seem to know things. I know something bad will happen before it does, or get a knot in my stomach before I get in trouble. I always know if someone is lying to me because I can pick up certain feelings from them, and I notice them right away. If anyone reads my experiences, please tell me and give me advice. I'm not a strong psychic, but I am part emphatic, and I get deja vu and can tell if something bad is going to happen. I don't know if I'm crazy or what. Someone please reply with some advice or short stories of their own. Thank you.